Hey guys, this is Entity for deucescrack.com. Welcome to part 2 of my coaching video with Tarkus. In this part of the video, we mostly focused our discussion on general theory and hand discussion, which wasn't necessarily related to hands he played in the video, but is still important in the development of a poker player. If you have any questions about any of the hands that we discuss or any of the theory that we talk about, once again, please post them in the forums. Thanks, and enjoy the video.
This was an interesting spot where heads up, on the button, you elected to open limp with 6-9 suited. I pretty much, especially against loose and bad opponents, whether they're loose passive or whatever, it doesn't really matter. I generally raise this hand pre-flop. I raise pretty much all my buttons. So, and I mean, I do open fold some. I can't think of too many spots where I'm willing to open limp on the button. And the only reason that I would generally do that in a heads-up match is because they're letting me get away with it, and they're playing fit or fold post-flop at the same time. 6-9 suited, you don't have a whole lot of equity against his full range. Your hand isn't bad. It's just not great. It's not like it's a powerhouse. But like I was saying earlier, since you have position on him, it's going to allow you to make the decisions post-flop about what sort of cards you want to bluff at, and it's going to make his hand range a lot more readable to you. So this is a spot where you decided to go ahead and limp, and then you bet an ace-3-5 board when checked to. If I were to try to piece together this story, I'd say that your hand range doesn't really make a lot of sense to me here. The only hand that makes sense is maybe, 5-3 or deuce-4 suited, because there aren't a whole lot of hands that hit this board that open limp preflop. So whereas if you raise with pretty much your entire range preflop, you're given a little bit more of the benefit of a doubt. A, when an ace comes. B, when a king comes. You can represent a lot wider of a range of hands. And when your opponent plays back at you, you're actually having them define their hand versus you. This is especially true, and almost entirely true, versus loose passive opponents, who are going to still limp call a lot pre-flop, but what you're doing in this spot is you're, again, building a big pot and making them flop a hand in order to call you down. Right. And if you see them start to adjust by, calling you down really, really lightly, then you just start checking behind more and value betting incredibly thin. It's pretty easy for you to go ahead and adjust your hand range versus versus what their hand range should be in those sort of spots.